All right. Good morning, everybody. Sorry, I'm gonna get on ahead here. Um, Welcome, Monday. What is today? Today is, man, is it the 21st already? September 21st. So we're gonna get into chapter 5, level 2, called fruits. So it's kind of perfect timing for fruits because it's the end of summer where fruits are finally finishing up for the summer fruits, and then we get into fall fruits. So we're going to start that this week with today and tomorrow we're going to do a lecture on fruits and their uses and how to cook them. Wednesday I'm going to do probably international fruit use. Thursday is application day, so maybe I'll make a pie or a tart. I got to figure out which one I want to do. And then Friday, might do like a review, and I don't know, we'll figure that out. Okay, so to get started. All right, so fruit types and market forms. Remove me. So you have seed-bearing part of the plant. That's why tomatoes are actually considered fruits, because you can replant tomatoes and grow plants. Um, They're added to desserts, soups, main courses, or eaten alone. That's why they're so versatile. Many colors, varieties, and flavors. And sweetness comes from fructose, a natural sugar. The forms of fruit, you could buy them fresh, whole, or cut, canned, frozen, or dried. And they all have different applications. So that's why we might just do applications quite a bit this week. So, fresh, obviously eaten, whole or cut, eaten, just plain. Or you could use those in your fresh, in your dishes. Frozen, frozen are better for your smoothies, pies, several dishes like that. It's just when you freeze fruit, it's like, think of how a pothole works. Okay, you have a small hole in concrete. Water gets in there. Oh, it moved me, so I'm not looking. Okay, so water gets in the concrete, it freezes. When water freezes, it expands. So what happens with the concrete, it has a small hole, the water gets in there, and it blows up the concrete, literally. It expands, you can't stop water, and it just, whoosh, it makes a pothole. The more it does it, the more the bigger the pothole gets. Fruit does the same thing. So does meat, vegetables. Anytime you look at these different items that are frozen, the water content expands inside of it, so when it thaws out it can become mushy because it's been denatured, like the actual structure of it is broken down. Same thing if you buy pork loins. I've noticed this. You buy pork loin on sale at the grocery store, those have been frozen. Those cooked, you cut into them and all of a sudden you see these big pockets. You're like, what is that? That is when it's been frozen and the water expands inside of it. Okay, so this just has the summer fruits and vegetables or fruits in it right now, but we're going to talk about fall in a few minutes. So ripen in summer, depending on climate, eaten raw, baked, or cooked. Includes melons, grapes, berries, drupes, which are fruits that have a central pit. So those would be your peaches, plums, those kind of things. Okay, so Indiana melons, watermelon, cantaloupe, honeydew. Um, there's even cooking applications for these. Grilled watermelon is huge right now. People will smoke watermelon. They do all kinds of stuff with watermelon. Berries, same thing. You can use them for savory or sweet items. Georgia peaches. Georgia peaches are delicious. And there's several things you can do with these too. Braise them, grill them, peach cobbler, peach pie. And then grapes. So obvious, there's tons of applications for grapes too. Okay, so summer fruits, apricots. That's what an apricot looks like. It's kind of like a tart, sweet peach. Dried apricots are huge. Apricot glaze. They have a ton of sugar in them. The dried ones, you got to think have more sugar content because these ones have water. These ones obviously don't. So this is more of a compact sugar. You can rehydrate these, which, I'll put that. That's a good one for you guys to see how to rehydrate dried fruit. Rehydrate. Okay, so you can rehydrate these to give them like a, to get a little bit more, soft texture to it. and then use them for candied apricots, or you could use them for a garnish. And then right now we're going to watch how to make a tart. I'm not going to slow play this. I'm going to show you guys pretty quick. So a tart is like a pie. All right.
To make the pastry, slice the vanilla pod in half. The seeds.
So I'm going to kind of skip through it a little bit. So he's making a pie crust or a tart crust. And what he's doing here is called rubbing. So he wants to get, see how it's got this mealy texture? That's what you want. So you have the butter in there, and what it's going to do is create these little tiny balls of butter fat throughout the entire crust. So when it bakes, it melts out really nice. You don't want to blend this like a cookie where you cream it. You do not want that. This is not a cookie. You want this, and that's how you get the flaky layers like this, okay? So he's mixing this. He had his eggs. Now he's going to roll out the dough. Oh, hold on. That's what this is. Going to roll out his dough, and then you want this chilled because it's got butter in it. If this gets really warm, it's going to melt that butter, and you work so hard not to melt the butter because you want that butter ice cold so it stays in whole pieces. Like a true pie crust, like if you've ever made pie dough before, you can see big chunks of butter in it. Same thing with a biscuit. You see the big chunks of butter, and that's what you want. So he's going to roll this out, form it into this thin, kind of like it's kind of like a pie, but it's got a thinner shell. And you need to pre-bake this, okay? So that's what he's getting ready for now. He's going to make this little form in here so we can put the beans in it. And the beans, all that does, they're dried. That keeps weight on there so it doesn't poof up, okay? So once he's pre-baked that, he's going to get a nice color to it. And then he's going to make this filling. It's that nice cream filling right there. It does have egg in it. I know I'm kind of skipping through this. And we'll make something probably Thursday or Friday. So you add that, make your little cream batter in the middle. It's not really cream, but like that nice, the thick batter in the middle. Okay, he's going to spread that out. And this is where the apricots come in. So these look fresh. And you want to make this nice little round formation with it. You can use dried ones for this, but you might want to decrease the amount of sugar you add to the actual tart. All right, and then the way it's set, is that like almost custard he put in the middle is holding the shape with the fruit in there. And now he's going to take apricot glaze. He's doing an apricot glaze with sugar, with the apricot reduction, or the apricot chunks, plus some sugar and water, and he's going to form, it's almost like a really thick syrup that you're going to brush on top of this, and it forms like a shell to keep it protected. And then garnished, okay? I know that was a quick example, but that's what it ends up looking like. That is a apricot tart. Very good. It's not like pie, where pie is very thick and it's got a ton of fruit in it. Tarts are more dense and thin and a crispier texture, and the main ingredient will be the fruit. That's the shine right there on top. Same thing with pies, but a little different. Okay. Now this one, berry pie. So berries, grown and ripen on vines and shrubs, perishable and fragile, must be grown in moist soils in the regions. You can find a lot of berries in Indiana, and they're going to grow in wooded areas, mainly because they need a lot of shade. So if you think of a lot of the areas around here, if there's farmland, people might have berry bushes, but in areas where there's a lot of woods, the canopy retains, where the canopy keeps the ground from drying out, and then the berry bushes have a lot more potential of retaining some of that moisture, or heavily thick areas, you know, like if there's a lot of brush, they will grow down there too. So, and that's for the wild berry. That's for like blueberries, raspberries, blackberries. Strawberries, you can grow those in gardens pretty easy. So this is going to be a quickie of how to make a blueberry pie.
Hey bakers, John Cannell from Preppy Kitchen here, and today we're making a classic blueberry pie, bursting with flavor, topped and cradled with a flaky butter crust, and it's just amazing. Look at this. It holds its shape, but it's delicious. Let's get started. I made a batch of my favorite all butter pie crust dough and let it chill overnight. You can click up here for the full how-to on that, or you can click the link in the description and it'll have all the details. But for now, we're gonna roll this out. When you take it out of the fridge, let it come a little bit closer to room temperature, otherwise you'll get a lot of cracking. Unwrap this sucker. Sprinkle liberally with flour all over the place. Spread it around. And now we're gonna roll out from the center and add more flour. Pie crust, whatever you want. And now I like to lift and kind of jiggle it in there.
Okay, so he's gonna form this pie crust. And then now, this is the main part I want you guys to see, is the berries.
Used up for decorations if we want later. This, I'm just going to tamp down, make sure it's all there, and pop this into the freezer to chill out while we work on our filling. For the filling, I have...
Once again, pie crust has a lot of butter in it. You do not want this getting warm because it'll start to melt, and then it'll make it very sticky. If that butter melts out into your pan, it'll stick to the pan and it won't cook right. So you always want to make sure that your stuff... Why is this not going on here?
5 cups of fresh blueberries. Look at these guys. You can use frozen blueberries if you want. You have to add in maybe like an extra half cup or so. All right. I really like some lemon to zing up all of my pies. I feel like it wakes them up. Apple pie, blueberry pie, strawberry, the works. Otherwise, all that sugar just feels a little bit dull, even if the blueberries have some zing to them. And they do, but it's not like lemon. To my blueberries, I'm gonna zest 1 lemon. Already, it's...
Okay, so what that does, lemon zest has a very strong lemon oil. And it's gonna give that, it doesn't have that tartness to it, it just has extremely powerful lemon flavor, which is great for anything. Pies, you can use it in savory as a marinade.
Gorgeous, that yellow, the blue, amazing. Let's add in my, how many tablespoons is this? 1 tablespoon. 2, I don't know. Here. Let's make that 3 full tablespoons of lemon juice. I'm gonna add half a cup of sugar now. Get out of there. 1/4 cup or 30 grams of cornstarch. This is our thickening agent, and it's really gonna help the pie not be a watery mess. Now we're gonna toss this up, toss those blueberries. This is like such a simple pie filling. Just move things around so all that sugar, cornstarch, lemon juice, and zest really mixes together, and you have a nice uniform and wet, gloopy blueberry filling. Okay, that's great. Nice. All right, let's set that aside and then fill our pie crust. So pull that pie crust out of the freezer and just dump in those blueberries.
Okay, if you guys see how these are kind of wet, what's gonna happen is the sugar is gonna caramelize, or it's gonna cook and thicken with the blueberry. The lemon juice is gonna be in there too to thicken. And then every little bit of cornstarch is mixed in is going to make this thick as well. Like you said, if you don't add the cornstarch, you cut into this and it'll be like water. When you do add the cornstarch, when this is baked, it's going to go through a lot. When it's baked, I think that's butter he's putting right there. Yeah. Here, I'm going to show you. I'm going to kind of slide down here. You get the lattice on top. You want to bake this thoroughly, and this one you're not going to pre-bake the shell, because the last thing that we saw, the tart, that does not need to cook as long for the filling for that. So you want to pre-cook your tart shell. That's what this looks like right here. See that brown tart in the middle? Because the shell itself takes a lot longer than the filling. This pie, since the blueberries and everything need to cook, you're going to put it all at the same time. Because by the time that crust is done, gets a nice golden brown, you can see these blueberries in there, and you'll see these small little bubbles popping up. We'll keep going. Okay, so what he's doing here is called an egg wash. So on top of your dough, you brush it with a mixture. You can put a little water in it, but you just whip an egg with a little bit of water, and you brush it on top of there, and it gives us this nice golden sheen. Then also, if you wanted to add like a sugar topping to that, it's something for it to stick to. All right, now we get to bake the eggs, putting sugar on top. Okay. So once this is out, you see how this is bubbling slightly? That's what you want. You see how thick that is? If this was not thick enough, yeah, that's the bubbles. You see how there's like boom? That means it's got a nice thick sauce. Now the main thing you need to do here is let this cool down. If you were to cut into this, it's just like not letting meat rest after it's been roasted. It's gonna just spew out everywhere. So you wanna let that cool and then you serve it. All right. Yeah, it's like video heaven today. So then you get cherries. Cherries grow on trees in temperate climates. Vary from tart to sweet, used in baking, cooking, and preserves. There's a million applications for cherries too. One of the most famous is, I'm gonna show this one to you. It's called Cherries Jubilee. He's got all his ingredients. It's mainly lemon juice, sugar, orange zest, might be a liqueur, ice cream. And then what you're doing is you're basically making a cherry topping here. This is a very famous dish used in restaurants. So what this is lemon juice. He's got the sugar, probably cornstarch. He's gonna stir this up and like make caramel pretty much, okay? This is made with fresh cherries too. So you buy your cherries, you pit them, and he's gonna make this nice little sauce. Breaking down his lumps. And this is starting to caramelize. See these bubbles on the side? Add your cherries. And the bubbles, the thickness of the bubbles is basically what you're looking for. If you have something that's popping really rapidly, like a soap bubble, it's not thick enough. So now he's gonna cook this. And then traditionally, it's just served. This is just an old-fashioned dish they serve in hotels. So they would take this cart called a guerdon out to your table, and they would make this. And sometimes they would put some sort of flammable element in it, some sort of alcohol or liqueur, which you guys aren't supposed to know about since you're only in high school. But oh, there he goes. So what happens is you add that, and then you put it back on the heat, and it lights up and makes this big. Once the alcohol hits an evaporating gas state, you know, close to 200, a little past, it's going to release the alcohol, and then it catches on fire. So you'll see that in a second, if he does it properly. Well, but anyhow, so you know that's a table side thing. So people are like, oh wow, and they see the big flame and da 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 da. And then they just scoop it on top of ice cream. So it's basically cherry sauce. But, okay. Let's go on. So grapes. Grapes are a very versatile fruit too. Grown in nutrient-rich soil, grown in clusters on vines with or without seeds, grape skin, depends on the flavor and color. Once you get in college, if you go to a culinary school, grapes, when you learn about wines and all that stuff, have a huge, it's amazing the science behind all that. But different wines, just to get you guys to know what these things mean. So this is a video on Welch's grape juice, which are made from Concord grapes. Concord grapes were in a picture a while ago, but they're not ones you want to take off the vine and eat. So these are called table grapes. That's your red seedless, the green or yellow or white grapes, whatever you call them. Different varieties of grapes. So if you've ever heard of champagne, that is a grape. It's a specific grape that's very tiny. Merlot, Sauvignon, all that stuff. Those are grapes. Those are types of grapes. This video, I'm going to show you how to make. This is how to make Welch's grape juice.
I'm at the Welch's plant in Grandview. Washington provides the majority of grapes used in all those famous Welch's products we know and love. I visited with Senior Operations Manager Brad Bigalk to talk about this local facility.
This location is a bulk facility for Welch's. In a typical season, it could be anywhere from 100 to 110,000 tons. And so that produces roughly anywhere from 20 to 22 million gallons of juice. The two facilities here represent 22 million gallons, which is the largest juice tank farm in all of North America.
So you're going to show us
Yeah, we're
a
gonna,
little bit how it's all made.
absolutely.
Brad led me inside for a tour of how their grape concentrate is uniquely processed and shipped all over the world.
Whoa! Wow, that's a lot of juice.
Yeah, so basically what's happening is after the grapes have been crushed and the stems removed, it gets pumped over to what we call a slurry tank.
Smells really good.
Yeah, I love grape processing. It has got a great smell to it.
I learned how adding cellulose helps in the juice pressing process.
What cellulose does is it actually acts as a thickening agent. So when it gets put up to the press, it allows a body, so when it gets pressed, more juice comes out from the solids.
Can I drop this in?
Yeah, absolutely.
After the cellulose is added, the juice is sent to a drag screen. This process uses brushes to push juice out of the grape solids.
So you are getting absolutely every last bit of flavor
Yes.
and juice
Yes,
out of those grapes.
correct.
The solids are then sent to another juicing process, the unique vertical screw press.
So this pressing part is important to Welch's, right?
Absolutely. This is really what distinguishes Welch's as a grape juice processor, and what makes us unique is the solids that come off the drag screen, and it's further pressing it down, so we're getting all the extra juice, color, and flavor extracted. And so then all the cellulose that was added is 100% of it's removed. This is the remaining solids that come out of the press. And so you can see the majority of it is the cellulose.
Right, yeah.
After the press, the juice is sent to another process called concentrating, where all that water is removed, making an all-natural, pure concentrate that is used to make different grape juice products. The concentrate is poured into drums, sealed, and then transported by rail and semis to Welch's bottling facilities, as well as international markets.
And they go out to the world.
And then they go out to the world, and all of
So that's pretty neat. If you've ever had Welch's grape juice, I think it is hands down delicious. My kids absolutely love it. But the main, so the flavor comes from the grape juice itself, but a lot of it is the skin, the tannins in the skin. That's where a bulk of the flavor is. That's why grapes are always pressed with the skins on, because you want all that incorporated into the juice. All right. Okay, so melons. This is a good section too. Another summer fruit. Two groups, you have sweet melons and watermelons. Sweet melons, tanner yellowish green, color rind, flesh is thick, tight texture, central network of seeds, so that's what this is right here. Watermelons, large and watery flesh, as you can see. Smooth green skin, very thick rind, crisp pink watery flesh, seed throughout the whole thing, so seeds are through everywhere. So you have honey for like cantaloupe, honeydew, all the seeds are in a central area. Melons are great, especially for garde manger. So that tool I told you guys about at the beginning of the year, the melon baller, the different knife cuts with it. This is the rind of a melon. This is the watermelon. Very intricate work. It's basically taking a little tiny knife and then carving out this whole thing. This would be on a fruit display. So then they take the insides and then cut pretty little, watermelon balls or cubes or whatever, and they'd put it right back in there. Or they'd make a fruit salad and put it in here and serve the whole thing. That's what a lot of watermelons are used for. These are also delicious grilled, I'm not gonna lie. Nectarines, similar to peaches, smooth skin, firm flesh. Just avoid blemishes and bruises when you buy them. These I like better I like peaches, but I like these because they're a little more firm, and sometimes they're a little more tart. I like tart things, especially apples. Peaches, sweet fuzzy skin, Two types, you have freestone and clingstone. Flesh varies in different colors. Also, great thing for, like, this is famous, peach cobbler. I've worked at restaurants, we sold tons of peach cobbler. It's just a famous, Southern style dish. Grilled peaches, broiled peaches. Remember we talked about broiling. We did broiled peaches with the caramelized sugar, and you just put a scoop of ice cream in it. Lots of different applications for peaches, or just eating raw. Pears, same thing. Depends on what kind of pears you have. There's like table pears, I would say, that are the soft ones that you just eat as is. And then you get like Bosch pears and Yanyu and all these other ones that are a little more firm, which can be used. You could either serve them like this in a salad because they offer a great texture and sweetness. Gorgonzola, like this salad right here with walnut gorgonzola, cranberries, like a bitter lettuce, maybe radicchio. You could even grill the radicchio and put it in here, and then sliced pears. It's ridiculous. With the vinaigrette, you don't eat ranch on all this stuff. This is like you eat pear with different vinegars. And then poached pears. We serve these a lot. We would poach these pretty much in type of grape juice until they turn that color. Slice them and then reduce the cooking liquid. Serve this with goat cheese and bib lettuce, which is soft butter lettuce. There's a ton of applications for pears. Even in savory cooking, apples and pears, like cooked and served with like pork chops and potatoes and nuts and anything that kind of grows next to each other. So if you imagine like a giant pork chop, the pig probably ate apples, pears, they eat nuts. So that complements, and then you serve it with pears, and you serve it with some like toasted walnuts. That's delicious. Plums, many colors and sizes for desserts and cookings, or for savory and sweet. So there's a plum cake. I love plums. Reduced down, called a prune, or dried out, it's called a prune. There's the pit, and they have different varieties of these too. They have this color. They have like a greenish yellow color. There's several different colors of plums. One of the most common fruits that we have here in Indiana are apples. That's one thing we can grow pretty well. Most grown in China and US, 7,500 varieties. Most commonly used fruit for juice, cooking, desserts, eaten raw. Flavor range from tart to sweet. Typically, if you have something like this, you want more of the tart, like Granny Smith style apple, because it's got a very tartness to it, but once cooked, it starts breaking down and gets sweet. But the main thing with apples is the firmness of it. If you have an apple that's extremely mushy or soft when you first get them, you can't cook with those. Those are like applesauce apples, not even applesauce. Those are just better eaten raw. The more hard, firm apples are the ones you want to cook with. And there's tons of things you can do. You can do desserts like tarts, apple pie, and then you can use them in savory dishes. So this is a braised chicken with Vidalia onions, or it might be just red onions or shallot, peppercorn, and then sliced apples with the braised chicken. Be delicious. Rosemary. So just a lot of earthy flavors. I've used them for, making candied apples to serve with all varieties of meat. So if you have a very salty meat, having something sweet to complement it goes really well. Where are we at? Okay, citrus fruits. These are so versatile. Grown in many regions, thick rind and segmented flesh, contain tons of vitamin C, can be sweet or tart, includes orange, grapefruit, lemons, limes, tangerines. These have been used for thousands of years for different things. They grow in many different climates. Mainly, it has to be like towards the equator. It has to be a very hot climate. You don't really grow citrus up here in the north, but a lot of southern places, and ironically, people like tropical areas, 9 times out of 10, there's some sort of ocean nearby. I don't know. A lot of the pairings you see, you'll like fish, lemon, fish marinated in citrus. So it's a complement that happens a lot, towards that southern region. One of the main dishes that I love is called ceviche, which I'm going to show you this right now.
Hello and welcome. Today we are making ceviche. Whether you have shrimp or cod or tilapia, this recipe is going to be super easy for you, so let's get started. Once you've sliced your cod into smaller pieces, you're going to add your lime juice. If you don't have lime, go ahead and use lemon. Regardless of the amount of fish that you're using, just make sure that you add enough citrus to cover it. I'm going to place my fish.
Okay, just to let you know too, that is raw fish, okay? And then I always recommend using fresh fruit and squeezing it because the bottled stuff has a lot of additives to it and does not taste nearly as good as a fresh squeeze.
Fish in my refrigerator for about an hour and a half to 2 until I see the color change and it's cooked. It's been 2 hours. I'm going to add my clamato. And the clamato I'm using, it's tomato cocktail concentrate, and it has, use it. I'm going to add half a can of my V8 juice, salt and pepper to taste. Now we're going to add our fruits and veggies. Tomato, finely chopped. Cucumber, finely chopped. Well, not so finely, I guess. It's smaller than I usually cut it, though. Your cilantro.
All right, so she's adding all these different mixtures, cilantro, onion, cucumber, tomato, and you're just basically going to marinate this. You don't cook the fish. You don't cook a fish with heat. The cooking all comes from the lime juice. I'm going to stop this. The lime juice and even a little bit of salt. But the lime, the acidity will cook the fish completely. And the texture of it gives it like this firm but still tender at the same time. It's not chewy. But this works for all fish. You can even do this with meat. It doesn't taste as good, but fish is good. But that's there's so many different varieties. Lemon chicken piccata, maybe I'll do a piccata. Chicken piccata is a good dish using fresh squeezed lemon, grilled oranges, orange chicken. Asian style food has a ton of different types of citrus. All right, let's keep moving on. Okay, so bananas, same thing. These have many different varieties of shades of colors for flavors. They contain carbohydrates, fiber, potassium, lots of potassium actually, vitamins and minerals, good for eating and baking. You want them, see this one right here, it's called the 5 shade pretty much. It's like, it looks like, oh, I'm not gonna eat that raw, but this is perfect for baking. Banana nut bread, banana nut muffins. You can add banana to many things to give that sugar. I mean, I'd almost replace sugar in a lot of things with just bananas. Sauteed bananas, carameled bananas. There's just many things you can use bananas for. Coconut, that's another one that's probably the most versatile of all fruits. So mainly what they do, you have coconut milk, all right? That is used highly in tropical regions and Asia. Americans are starting to use it a lot more too for curries. Coconut milk is it's very nutritious, and it's used in a lot of dishes, and that's the cream texture you're getting. Like a lot of people think, oh, this must be heavy cream and some sort of shredded coconut. No, that's coconut milk. Marinades, coconut milk chicken. There's so many different applications for coconut milk. And then you get the shredded, like the sweetened coconut shred. This is a coconut and chocolate macaroon, almond joy. I mean, there's so many different applications for coconut. Granola. I mean, there's a lot of things you could use this for. Kiwi. I love kiwi, but this is kiwi. Mainly, there's not a lot of savory dishes you want to use a kiwi for. They break down real easy, and sometimes the taste of them could be either really bitter or really sweet. Also known as Chinese gooseberries, fuzzy skin, green flesh, star-like pattern when you cut it. Okay, mango. That's probably, I think mango is probably one of the most versatile too. Well, besides coconut. So this is a mango. Tomorrow we'll go over like how to cut the mango. Great for salsas, mango salsa, sweet tropical salsa for fish, pork, chicken. You can put it over beef, lamb, whatever you want. This is a grilled mahi with a mango puree as a sauce. It's very basic, but that's all you really need. So I put this picture in here. This is the Key West Hilton Resort and Hotel. This is where I did my internship out of college at. And we would do dishes like this. We would actually just walk out because we had banana trees and stuff down here. And for our tropical displays, like if I was doing a fish dish, I'd go out, we'd get our fruits, tear off a big, banana leaf, and that would be our service platter. So very, very, elegant dishes. Okay, same thing, papaya, pink orange flesh, black seeds. You don't want to eat the seeds of these. You want to take those out. Sweet or tart, and it could be cooked or served as is. This is really good by itself, but it's really good also cooked on top of fish, on top of pork. There's many different variety or recipes with this. You go simple. You don't put a bunch of stuff in it. Serve just added to like a shrimp dish, like a braised shrimp. Here's one that's like a papaya salad. Just a bunch of marinated vegetables, some citrus in there. Pineapples, same thing. There's so many things you could do with it. This has been a huge hit of people just carving these, using the pineapple in the dish, and then serving it back inside the pineapple. The most famous is probably Hawaiian chicken, marinated in pineapple, grilled, and then served with grilled pineapple. And the last part of this, I just want to show you, like, as far as like fruit types and market forms, characteristics of freshness, you want to make sure your stuff is plump. No bruises, mold. If you see this, do not buy that. Get rid of it. Pest damage would be like chewed holes, wilted leaves. So if you buy anything on the vine, you want to look at the vine, especially grapes. If the vine's green, that means those grapes are fresh. If the vine is shriveled up and starting to look like a stick, that means those grapes are not going to be good very long. And we'll go over like how to purchase fruits in a little more depth so you guys can see. Actually, I think I have a video on this next slide. Yeah, let's see what time it is. But we'll watch this tomorrow because I know this has been a long one. So we'll start with purchasing tomorrow. All right. Well, I hope you guys learned a little something, and don't forget this week we will keep going through different types of fruits, purchasing them, cooking them, and many different applications. Let's go ahead and stop. Have a good day.